going to start this off immediately by making 3 things as clear as possible. 1, if you enjoyed Netflix's adaptation of Devil May Cry, awesome. I would never want to take that away from you, okay? I'm not here to say that you are stupid or dumb or an idiot because you liked something I didn't like. We all have our guilty pleasures, right? Number 2, I'm a Devil May Cry fan, but I'm not the kind of Devil May Cry fan that will blindly fillet everything that's underneath the umbrella term of DMC. Meaning that I can quite easily say that Devil May Cry 2 is one of the worst video games I've ever had the displeasure of playing. Number 3, I think that this show is not only bad as an adaptation, I think it sucks even by looking at it by itself in a vacuum. And I want to go through everything and anything in a very close dissecting manner, putting everything in a segmented way, and really show you why I think this is one of the worst series I've seen in a very, very long time. I kind of knew from the very beginning that I was going to dislike it, so originally I didn't want to even give it a chance and watch it or make a video of it, but I did get some comments that some people were interested in my thoughts on it, and with the help of some friends, we watched it together. I recorded our entire reaction to the entire series, so I will sprinkle in those reactions here and there whenever I feel it's necessary to show some reactory celebrations. And again, to give some sort of evidence that I always knew that I was kind of going to dislike this, even though that's a very negative way of looking at it, was the marketing. Seeing this joke that's straight taken out of Nocturne.
I was going to say something witty and cutting and brutal before I finished you off. But fuck it.
The way this usually goes is I do that, then drop a killer one-liner. But I'm drawing a complete blank right now.
Yeah, I was kind of worried when I saw that clip, but here we are. And let's just immediately start off by going quickly through the plot. So, the story begins with the villain, the White Rabbit, stealing Force Edge from a museum in the Vatican and killing some Americans. We then get introduced to Dante, who is doing his thing in hunting demons, and through one of the body cams in the soldiers getting murdered by the antagonist, we get a scene showing us how the actual American government gets involved in trying to figure out who the hunter, that the rabbit mentioned, is.
My God.
My God.
All the last guy had to worry about was Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein? Going on a bit of a witch hunt, we go through a montage of hunters getting captured, giving us some references. What? Eventually, after an action scene with Dante and some interrogation scenes with John, Constantine, and Enzo, we learn that the story will start with a full-scale conflict in getting Dante's amulet, as the rabbit wants to tear down the wall, separating the human world from the demons. And by God, do they like to use that term.
You're going to thank me when the wall comes down.
The wall?
Why is this wall still standing?
He created the wall that protects this world. To tear the wall to pieces.
See your father's wall for what it is. Here in the wall. It's let me save.
Why do they have to call it the wall?
Yes, with the wall gone, the monsters of
They keep calling it the wall. So the story is Dante is trying to get his amulet back since it's, you know, a family keepsake. The White Rabbit wants to open the door to the demons, and the Americans, with their representatives being Lady and the Vice President, an original character voiced by the late Kevin Conroy, R.I.P., are all up in arms. Dante gets captured constantly so that the people can exposition dump on him, and as the story progresses, it is made clear that this narrative is primarily about Lady and the White Rabbit. Primary evidence being episode 6, which is a full exploration of their pasts and how they connect to one another. I don't want to just go into every single plot point and go beat for beat for beat for beat or scene for scene for scene for scene, but the thing that is the most important to understand is that the story is all about the fact that humans and demons aren't that different from one another, and demons want to leave Makai, the demon world, to get to America. Not the human world, America specifically. And as asylum seekers, they need to get through the wall. It's kinda weird how often they use that term.
Making the wall somehow, because of course he fucking did.
I'm gonna build a wall. It'll keep all the demons out.
It'll be the greatest wall.
You know how.
Greatest it'll ever be.
Place.
We're gonna build a wall, and I'm gonna make Mundus pay for it.
This is Devil May Cry, not American politics!
You know how. It's a great place.
But yeah, just keep that in mind, and let's start with the first segment that we're really going to dive into, the story. ever seen the YouTube ad for Masterclass where Hans Zimmer says,
In music, you're basically having a conversation. It's a question. It's an answer.
a story has a similar idea. A story is an argument between two sides, the protagonist versus the antagonist, the thesis versus the antithesis, argument versus the counter-argument. A classic story has a protagonist start off believing in something, only to come across a powerful opposing force that believes in the polar opposite, and then through a character arc, the hero learns something from the opposition, using their new understanding to combine the idea to a synthesis to finally win the argument during the climax. Stories, of course, are not written as a formula, but rather form. Many famous narratives have the protagonist fail, but we're talking about Devil May Cry here, which has always had the primary idea be, well, the very title of the franchise. A Devil May Cry when coming into connection with the human heart. In Devil May Cry 1, we see this with Trish's dark soul filled with light through Dante. In the sequel, they do the exact same thing with Lucia. The prequel has Dante gain humanity through Lady. The fourth explores Nero's potential fall, only to be called out of darkness by Kyria and his uncle. And the fifth game shows us Vergil's change with V. This series has consistently had this thesis, this argument at its very core, the soul of DMC. An interesting story should constantly move in an upward trajectory. The arguments getting louder and more dramatic, as it were, stakes getting higher to the point where we ask, how can our hero actually win this? Only for them to grow, stand before the ultimate force of antagonism during the climax, and win! As usually, the opposing force are either unwilling to learn or incapable of learning. This best is shown through the villains of DMC3, Vergil and Arkham. These two individuals share the same argument during this narrative. The argument being that true power is gained through demons, and weakness through humanity should be cast away. And we see this throughout the entire playthrough.
Why do you refuse to gain power? The power of our father, Sparta.
The power of Sparta!
The demonic power. I've come to retrieve my power. You should come to realize you cannot control the power of Sparta.
But the one thing that separates them is the main argument of the story, the idea that they have weakness throughout their own humanity.
Does that woman really bother you?
What are you talking about?
Did some pesky fatherly love get in your way? To further your study of the black arts, you sacrificed your loving wife to become a devil as well. Knowing this, I thought you'd be more useful to me. But I was wrong. No wonder your attainment of power is incomplete.
What about you? You're an incomplete being as well. Demon and human blood mingle in your veins.
What is actually brilliant and ironic here is that Vergil is the one who has more humanity in his soul than the actual human, as we see Dante's twin has moments during the story where this inner son of Eva comes out. He was put on this path because he felt powerless to protect his mother. He still considers Dante and Sparta his family, and both of these guys, their full worldview is shown at the end of their stories. Vergil with his humanization of his love for his family,
no one can have this, Dante. It's mine. It belongs to a son of Sparta. I'm staying. This place was our father's home.
and Arkham with his pure inability to understand love.
What have I done wrong? Even heroic Sparta sacrificed a woman so that he could become a legend. I wish to be a god! And I sacrificed one miserable human being for that reason. That is all. Was that really so awful?
Arkham is just as demonic as Mundus, whereas Vergil is someone who is deeply conflicted, yet sadly falls back into his old ways when shown power. He was unable to change where Dante did. Remember that DMC3 has the subtitle Dante's Awakening.
Father? I don't have a father. I have a dysfunctional family too.
And what would you know about family? You're a demon.
Family, huh? So, my mother's amulet is the key that unlocks the door to the demon world. Good plan, Pop. I'm sure you have time for one more game, right?
I'm responsible for all this mess.
Responsible? Does it bother you that much?
He's my father. A demon like you wouldn't understand.
Quite frankly, at first, I didn't give a damn. But because of you, I know what's important now. I know why you're here. You're here to ask me some questions. Well, too bad. I've already answered them myself. I don't need you anymore. We are the sons of Sparta. Within each of us flows his blood. But more importantly, his soul! And now, my soul is saying it wants to stop you!
Now, this brings the question up. What is the issue here with the Netflix show? And it is quite simple. Where a story needs to constantly raise the stakes, the two opposing sides need to raise their voices and intensity with each scene, this show loves to repeat itself. And it is best shown through the scenes Dante partakes in conversation with other people. Character introduction. Dante saves an innocent person through a small action scene, then starts talking about how demons are real to this stranger. Next conversation with Enzo, he talks about his past and how he made a promise, followed with a small flashback. After a long action scene, he gets captured by a lady, then we have a long exposition dump by the Vice President of the United States explaining Dante's story to Dante, even after having a scene explaining that. And then we have an action scene Dante does not partake in, but afterwards someone frees him, making him once again remind us of his promise to his mother.
I'll get it back, Mom.
Oh my god, I get it! Followed directly with an action scene where quite frankly nothing happens, aside from the fact that some cars that end up exploding do not have drivers in them. That's weird. Yeah.
For the opening, so I'm not surprised.
Wait, are there people in these cars?
There is.
What?
No, obviously not.
What? It ends with Dante being captured again, this time by the villain. We have a whole episode where Dante has to listen to someone explain everything to him, all of his backstory again. Let me just make it clear. Everything is just explained. Tell, don't show is used here as if it was a mantra. Then he has a fight again, which eventually leads to Dante once again listening to someone else dumping exposition on his lap, which leads to an explosion. This leads to a conversation with Lady, where Dante is the one explaining how he feels, with some flashbacks here and there for good measure, only for her to shoot him in the leg, locking him inside the armored car again. Then after a scene that changes nothing, he gets one last exposition dump from the White Rabbit, which leads to the final battle. Afterwards, having said the classic line, maybe the villain was right, Lady captures him one last time, turning him into the Winter Soldier. Is this creative? Having people explain the story to our hero, that's what people want these days? Really? I would like to read something to you from one of my favorite books of all time. Story by Robert McKee, page 114. Master storytellers never explain. They do the hard, painful, creative thing. They dramatize. Audiences are rarely interested and certainly never convinced when forced to listen to the discussions of ideas. Dialogue, the natural talk of characters pursuing desire, is not a platform for the filmmaker's philosophy. Explanations of authorial ideas, whether in dialogue or narration, seriously diminishes a film's quality. A great story authenticates its ideas solely within the dynamics of events. Failure to express a view of life through the pure, honest consequences of human choice and action is a creative defeat no amount of clever dialogue can salvage. Now, let's look into how beautifully written Devil May Cry is by looking at text and subtext.
Bless me with a leaf off of the tree. On it I see the freedom ray.
Oh, they're using Devil Trigger theme while the voice actor is Nero voice actor. This is awful. This is like when you don't understand subtext and you think everything has to be on the nose to be like cool.
I would have to ask you, what in the show has been subtext up to this point?
There has been no subtext! Everything has been on
Exactly.
the nose! The true depth of a work of art is everything underneath the text of it. When talking about subtext, it is important to understand what it means, so it goes like this. Text is literally what is written in a book. The actual words. In a visual medium, it is what you see before you, the paint on the canvas. Subtext is the inner meanings and feelings that flow below the surface. An example I like to use is think of every movie, game, or book when someone says these three words. I love you. The exact same words over and over again, yet the different works of art can get a profoundly different reaction out of you. When Yuna, at the end of Final Fantasy X, says these words, she's not just saying that she has these feelings for Tidus, there are layers upon layers of meaning and feelings behind them. She's thanking him for having been there, she's saying farewell, telling him she's sorry. So much unsayable in these three words. And guess what? The Devil May Cry games is written with subtext throughout the entire franchise and with a lot of care. A lot of people on the internet these days like to use the long monologues as evidence of how well written this series is, so I will use another scene, one of my favorites in fact, the moment when Lady gives her weapon to Dante. Let's look at this moment together and break it down. The scene begins with our protagonist telling our favorite lady that he has learned what truly matters because of her and how he wants her to trust him to fix this massive problem, since she sadly does not have what it takes to do it alone anymore. And then
use this.
the text is just Lady telling him to use her weapon, just handing over her massive bazooka.
How much is it gonna cost me?
You can give me your name.
The text of this is our hero asking how much he has to pay for it, and Lady answering that he can pay for it with his name.
Dante.
Alright, now let's look at the subtext of all of this. First, ask yourself this. Do you think Lady is giving Dante her weapon because she thinks it is the only tool that could potentially defeat Arkham? His kryptonite, if you will? No, of course not. To understand subtext, you also need some context. Her weapon, which she has named the Kalina Ann, named after her own mother that got murdered by her father, represents Lady's will. Her soul and burden to get revenge on this horrible monster. When she is giving Dante this weapon, she's putting not only her faith in him, but giving him her very soul, if you will. The soul that screams at her to end her father.
My soul is screaming, demanding me to kill him! That's enough motivation to keep me going.
When Dante asks for what's it gonna cost him, and she answers with asking for his name, remember at this point, she has consistently disregarded him as just another demon. She was unwilling to share her actual name with him, and truly believes that...
And what would you know about family? You're a demon.
Point is, before this moment, she has thought that since he is a demon, there is nothing human about him. He is like every other devil, evil. But after everything they've been through, she has a profound change, a character arc, leading her to want to humanize him. She wants to know his name. And this is Lady we're talking about, who puts a great deal of emphasis and power onto names during this interactive experience. So her asking for Dante's name means that she can see the humanity in a demon.
Dante. Please. Free my father.
The text of this is Lady telling Dante to free her father. This line, when looking at it literally, makes no sense, but the subtext tells us something we have seen once before. She has said out loud throughout the entire game that she hates her dad, and she wants to kill him, but the subtext of this, when she truly has opened up, tells us something wildly different. Her saying this, showing that deep down, she holds love for her father, for Arkham, and feels that by killing the devil he's turned into, she can free him in a symbolic sense. To which Dante answers,
I will, Lady.
Text here is that he will do so. Subtext is him accepting her in the same way as she has accepted him, calling her by the name he only knows her by, the name at this point that she will adopt as her own, Lady. Now, having gone through all of this, let's look at the moment again with some notes of mine hanging over some of it.
Wait.
Trust me, I'll make things right for you. That's what my soul is telling me to do.
Use this.
How much is it gonna cost me?
You can give me your name.
Dante.
Dante. Please. Free my father.
I will, lady.
There is nothing, and I mean nothing, in the Netflix series that reaches this level of writing, because when something is written purely in text, with no subtext, it means that you're writing on the nose. It means you are explaining how people feel. You are explaining what should be dramatized and shown. You are telling, not showing. Look at this scene and tell me if you can see the issue.
So, you agreed to help him unleash hell on Earth.
You think hell on Earth would be that different from my life now?
Oh my god!
Oof, it's so on the nose.
You know me. I'm always happy.
Right. Your jokes are weak shit cover. I've seen you in moments when you think no one's looking.
This is awful! She is telling us things, which, by the way, they never shown us. You know, that she has seen him alone with his own thoughts, or the big climax when the antagonist and protagonist are in their greatest argument and Lady realizes who the White Rabbit truly is. I doubt our reaction to this is what Adi Shankar wanted.
I should have known you were human from the start. Your brand of pure psychotic ruthlessness? That's all humanity.
Yes, the classic, we humans are the monster.
Humans are the real evil monsters who are able of doing the most evil.
Can someone please put a fucking meme in where somebody says, the humans are the real monsters and everyone writes around? No, dipshit, it's the zombies!
The Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead one.
Allow me the chance to read a bit more from this book. Page 121. Misusing and abusing art to preach, your screenplay will become a thesis film. A thinly disguised sermon as you strive in a single stroke to convert the world. This results from the naive enthusiasm that fiction can be used like a scalpel to cut out the cancers of society. Mr. Shankar, please. Devil May Cry in the video game medium uses subtext constantly, as good writers will always use it, whereas bad writers do what they did with the Devil May Cry Netflix series, right on the nose, without any subtlety, having no faith in their audience to figure things out themselves. Again, the biggest piece of evidence of bad writing is if the climax of the story is explained. During the climax! Just awful! And all of this is why my reaction to Lady saying Jackpot is so extreme. Have a look, and we'll go into it. Like, seriously, it broke me.
Killed the mother beforehand with no issues, but then he felt bad, I guess.
A part of me was terrified that she was gonna say Jackpot.
Oh my god.
A part of me genuinely. Yeah, but like Lady. That like, oh, she got affected by how... No!
Yeah, she did.
Oh my god, this writing is so ass! Oh my god!
So glad I stopped watching in episode 4.
Oh my god, it's so bad!
This is my villain arc. Oh my god.
I am so glad I stopped watching in episode 4.
Bad. It's so bad that he can fucking guess it!
I clapped when I saw it.
Oh well!
I applauded it for being different.
It broke new ground!
If there is one perfect example on how this show is just reference city without any substance to the references, it would be the use of the Jackpot line. In the games, there is a specific reason as to why this word is so important to Dante. Quite entertainingly, we actually get this reason in the very first scene introducing him.
Well, the way I figure it, in this business a lot of your kind comes around. And if I kill each one that comes, eventually I should hit the jackpot sooner or later.
Now, of course, as the games went by, they retroactively added more meaning behind this word, as in the third game it is used not only to show the lingering humanity still within Vergil, but also connecting it to Dante's past.
Remember what we used to say? Jackpot.
This means that every time our hero exclaims jackpot, it is during a meaningful moment of great importance to him, like finally accepting that the new Demon King is in fact his older twin.
Jackpot.
A word brimming with subtext. Of course, the show is doing its own thing, and this catchphrase has changed. That is fine. Again, adaptation. Do some changes, I'm okay with this. They have Dante yell it out on 3 different occasions. During our character's introduction, as he shoots the final demon, showing us that he also engraves this word into his bullets. Yeah. Second time is when he's chasing Lady, turning a corner, yelling it out, only for him to fail miserably. Third time is after chasing Rabbit on the highway, ready to blast his bunny's head off, only for it to fail miserably.
Stop
This
saying
coincidence
jackpot!
is...
Oh, he does.
It's his catchphrase.
3 times now.
Now, it doesn't take a genius in realizing what the writers were trying to achieve here when Lady yells it out in this climactic fight. It is there to show that by being with Dante, some of his character has affected her in some way. She has learned by being around him. But as I said, they tried, but failed. The fact that she only hears him say it once, that one time being when he made a fool out of himself, removes whatever meaningful change they were trying to get with this character arc. It takes 3 to make a pattern, and yet she heard it once. The only reason she's saying jackpot there is because that is what usually happens in the games. The final big bad is defeated with a nice jackpot line, and that is all the writers got from it. None of the actual meaning and depth. Just a surface level on when it is used, not why. And this mentality goes into every reference in this show. Yay!
Yeah.
Devil May Cry
Yeah,
4, remember?
It's Agni and Ruth.
Whoa! What happened to the graphics? Using these bosses from the games without understanding why they were made in the first place for their interactive experiences just shows such a fundamental misunderstanding of why they were designed like this in the first place. Here's a bit of homework for you watching. Why do you think in DMC3 that Agni and Rudra are designed and written as they are? Including how, during their boss fight, if you kill one before the other, how do they react? And what does Dante tell them after the fight? Why do you think that the Geryon boss, if that's how you pronounce it, sorry, is designed as a blue horse pulling a black chariot, and that it can control time? Why do you think that the same horse returned in DMC5, only this time ridden by Cavalier Angelo, a knight-like figure that contains a trapped individual? These showrunners just took some of these amazingly designed bosses and threw them into their own thing in hope that that would be enough. And quite frankly, it isn't. And speaking of throwing in characters without getting them... Fuck! Oh! Two things I want to discuss here. The one thing that seems to be the main criticism with this depiction of Lady, it would be her use of language. In the game, she isn't a swear machine, as she is shown here in the show, but hey, adaptation. Some differences are fine. My issue lies in the fact that her swearing makes no sense. Why do people curse to begin with? For one, it can be cathartic to throw one out, giving some more oomph to something you want to say. And it has an amazing effect when a character gotta let it out, right? Another reason is who they are spending their time with. If you are surrounded by people who speak in a certain way, you will eventually start adding their language into your own vocabulary. Here, however, she is the only one who throws these F-bombs out. None of her teammates are this loose with their tongue. It also removes the credibility in that she's supposed to be their leader. Like, she has no discipline over herself, having no control over how she talks. So the only conclusion we can come to is that the writers really just wanted her to have a filthy mouth.
The prisoners. A little too fucking comfortable.
Why is she swearing? This brings me to my second problem. Shankar wants me to believe that she's not only a member of a team, but the lieutenant, the one leading them. And yet, the first time we see them on the field together, she tells them that she's gonna do it alone, without help, showing her inability to work with others, but they also added a joke to show how undisciplined they are.
Not Sparta, Sparta. Did no one read the intelligence briefing I prepared?
Why can't we have disciplined military dudes in shows anymore?
Because that's not cool.
It's also not
Being
relatable.
professional sucks.
Then, after capturing Dante, they still show up for a group photo as if they contributed in some fashion.
Why are you guys here?
You didn't do anything! Imagine if they've all worked together to beat Dante. It would have shown us that, yes, demons are physically superior, but with teamwork, humans can win. But nah, let's have Lady do it all by herself. This happens again with her second fight scene as she is separated from, again, her team. And finally, when we actually have them work together, they all die. But okay, maybe they can use the deaths, her teammates, her friends' deaths, to improve Mary's character. They use Batman Fair Gas instead of having an actual character moment. By the way, this Fair Gas never show up ever again. Yeah, this version of Lady is a complete failure, not only in an adaptation sense, but on its own, in a vacuum. Everything that's written in the show with this character, it is bad. Going to be honest, I just want to talk about how I really liked Hoon Lee's voice here. Lee's voice work. And it gave me a good laugh every time Rabbit showed up on screen. The writing turned awful here and there, but the acting did a good job in making me actually invested in what I was seeing. And seeing the Rabbit shoot a school bus filled with children with a bazooka was hilarious. So yeah, good job, voice actor man! Writing still sucks though. It is bad. Is he? The show has showed me that he's useless. I feel like I've gone into enough detail about my primary issue back in the story section of this video. Repeating character beats and sequences is not good writing. Removing what made Sparta special in the game lore by being an exception to the rule to now just be a regular dude that had some second thoughts about, you know, the side he took in during the war, then have children with a human who are just the same as demons, make me think that Dante and Vergil aren't that spectacular in this world. If humans and demons are the same with just some biological differences, that means that there should be more hybrids running around the world, right? It's just silly with this world change. It just removes what made Sparta special, and in turn, Dante and Vergil. But Dante himself is just someone who's either throwing out references, suddenly afflicted with a flashback of his mother, and then talking about how he's a hero while not calling himself a hero.
I heal extremely fast, like a superhero. Not that I call myself a superhero, but your mom does.
Seriously, showing us that he's reminded of Ava by a random blonde lady has removed the potential of a Trish character reaction. He also holds no issue in just being direct about everything. Did we need him to constantly remind us that he made a promise to his mother? How about actually showing us how much the amulet means to him? Like, by his actions. Imagine if he notices that the rabbit has the amulet and he immediately just goes ape, you know? I'm certain that if Adi Shankar wrote DMC1, after defeating Nello Angelo, he would look at his amulet and then say something like, "Mother, I am sorry. I couldn't save my brother, but I promise that I will make it all right by defeating Mundus. Not because of revenge, but because it's what a hero would do." Wow. Also, the fact that he lacks the willpower to make any valuable change himself is such a weakness in writing. He gets captured by Lady. He tried to get out of this situation by himself, only to get released by someone else. Gets captured by Rabbit, has a fight that leads to his devil trigger, which, hey, a symbolic growth for our character. Now he can get out of this sticky... Nope, he gets saved by Lady. Okay. He has a long conversation with the main villain about what he should do, what side he needs to pick. Now we can see his agency in what he...
My father was a hero.
And how would you know that? All the deep, meaningful moments you had together?
Don't be a fucking idiot. Do I have to shoot you again?
Alright, so Lady is the one who gets his mind back on track. But hey! Final fight! This time you can't go wrong. Nope! Lady is the one saving him! In the game, these two learned from each other and grew because of it. In the Netflix series, Lady learned to overcome her demon racism because of cliché number 300, and Dante just got told what to do by everyone in the show. It is bad. Not much I can really discuss here, as we only really get 3 scenes with him, 2.5 when considering his introduction. When a character gets introduced, you have a chance to do something truly special, yet here they have the plasma mimic him, walk towards Dante while playing Bury the Light. So I'd say that as a special moment for a story, they fell face first. Second time we come across our boy, we have a conversation between our primary antagonist and Nello Angelo, who is talking.
My sword, far too great a power.
I can't give any actual arguments at this point as to why this is bad. Again, there's just not enough of this, but I will say this. Nello Angelo in DMC1 is such a cool character, not just because of the visuals or the music, but also what he turned into after DMC3's release. In some wonderful play of irony, Vergil got exactly what he wanted. He lost his weakness, that being his humanity, and got pure demonic power, turning into a Dark Knight, just like his father. Only to realize that what made the Dark Knight Sparta special was that humanity. One detail I will always love in Nello's design is his helmet. It shows the face of a human that can't emote. Just brilliant. Yet here...
Remember when Nello Angelo was just a brainless soldier for Mundus?
That had like a tragic story and one of the best soundtracks ever? I do.
Yeah, I miss that.
Also, this line is just... ugh.
That's so
Oh, no, don't say
bad.
it. Don't say it. Oh god, it's so awful. It's so bad.
No, don't
and then
say
they
it.
ended with Bury the Light? This genuinely feels as if the writer just thought, hey, Vergil is popular these days, let's have him say something else that is popular. He is the storm that is approaching, right? He would never say this. It was Arkham in the game. Going a bit back on what we talked about during the lady section, how people speak needs to make sense to a character. When we get introduced to these two characters in DMC3, we immediately get their dynamic when Lady's father poetically preach about what makes the tower so great, and Vergil shuts him down, showing us that he doesn't really care about all that kind of stuff, wanting to know the actual information on how to continue with his quest. And this follows through the entire experience. A calm-collected individual who only speaks when necessary, going into a childish tantrum when things doesn't go his way. So, while I still think it's too early to go into our power-thirsty boy and whether he works or doesn't, I will still claim that he would never say this, and again, the writer's just throwing in a reference, quite frankly. It is bad.
Wait, so this is the ending?
Terrible. Yep.
Devils Never Cry?
I thought too, I guess.
Oh, we're just doing Lullaby DM... Oh.
I feel like a much better song for the ending credits would have been Shall Never Surrender.
They could have
Or
played...
Hear Me Out!
God forbid,
an original song!
track.
I understand that even if I have used examples from the games in a bright light on how great they are in comparison, that does not mean that I believe that they are perfect. The most recent game desperately is trying to sweep the suffering and horrible stuff that Vergil caused under the rug in hope that you can just accept his happy ending. DMC4 several times have explanations on what the story is about, plus everything I said in my old video about Dante's character. Devil May Cry 3...
That thick shaft that causes women to shudder.
Okay, actually, this shit is perfect. DMC2...
Don't speak. Just die.
Okay, actually, this shit is shit. And finally, the original game that can sometimes dip its toe into melodrama. But we love most of these because they were made by people who wanted to show us something meaningful, not tell us how meaningful it is. If I could just ask one question to Shankar, it would be, why did you want to make a Devil May Cry show? Based on everything here, he doesn't seem that passionate about the franchise, or what it's about. Everything from the IP is just there for the visual recognition without any of the actual depth. Would a fan write Lady like this?
Hey, this is evil as fuck.
Evil?
So he rebelled.
Would a fan write Dante like this?
I think the rabbit might have had a point. About the letting demons ravage the world and kill everybody part. But the other stuff.
Just hit the point as hard as you can, because audiences are stupid. Would a fan write the story of Sparta like this? And looking at the story that is visionary, the marketing told me that this one wanted to tell, where is the originality? Want to preach how there are victims on both sides of a war? Show a mother holding a baby. Hell, do it several times. Not like the law of diminishing returns is a thing. Real original. Never seen this before. It's always a woman with a fucking baby.
Yeah, because you need to see how innocent these demons are.
I feel like I'm watching an advertisement for giving money to give water to children in Africa. I've seen this through my entire life! I hate this cliche! Want to show us that America can bring just as much terror as the terrorists they're fighting? Liquidate the refugees. Never seen this before! I highly doubt this was the reaction the writers wanted.
Oh, they're gonna drone strike the women!
Yeah! America!
Let's go!
Obama.
Oh, Devil May Cry, bless me with a...
This isn't Devil May Cry anymore, brother.
This is America. Oh my god, he's just a
Look,
Winter Soldier!
he finally has the DMC tree hair now.
Oh my god, I'm fucking crying.
It's the nuke. Did you know that Devil May Cry is just like the War on Terror?
My fellow Americans. Oh my god, this is amazing! Oh my god! Everything, and I mean everything, about the Devil May Cry Netflix show is uncreative, unoriginal, cliché, and poorly constructed. And seeing how the showrunner who cosplays our beloved character and raises his finger into the sky, expecting everyone to start chanting around him, "Heal the world! Make it a better..." It's just embarrassing! Can't wait for him to turn Arias into Elon Musk, who gives people special cars made from minerals from the demon world, claiming that it will be better for the environment, only for all of them to turn into infested vehicles as we see in DMC2. Can't wait for them to give Mundus a tragic backstory and have him be a tyrant out of necessity.
So is this why he becomes obsessed with demons?
They made fun of me, so I sacrificed my family to get power. I showed them.
You're a fraud, Spider-Man.
Shocker, disgrace, Professor.
Oh my god.
They are! They are! No! Can't wait for having them brainwash Dante, call him Tony Redgrave, and have him act like the Winter Soldier. This entire show. Whew. Considering how Netflix write contracts to always be able to make 2 seasons, the chances for the second one to be better, well, of higher quality, is null and void. So I'm not going to watch it. I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize. I just needed to make this whole video for the catharsis, to just, gotta let it out. But again, to make it as abundantly clear as possible, if you like this show, awesome. Don't let me take that away from you, okay? Just keep that in mind. You can like it as much as you want, but I still needed to make this video and just get it out there, to make it clear as to why some Devil May Cry fans, like myself, feel like this is just a massive, not only a disappointment, but when a creator of any kind gets the chance to write something in a beloved franchise, they have a responsibility. They have a responsibility for, they have a responsibility to the original creators, there's a responsibility to the series itself and the fans. And yet it feels as if the showrunners here just did not care. I don't feel like they care about the characters, the story, or the setting. Just no love whatsoever. So, yeah, I think it's time for the clown to bow out, Shankar. The show is over. Or to give Dante the final words, and I'm talking about the real Dante!
If you're gonna continue your research in the next world, do your homework first. And the rest is silence.
I'm
I'm passionate about Devil May Cry. Like I love this thing.
Yeah.
And I love this niche
That's
thing.
the most important
And now
thing
I
that-
can
yeah.
take it and hopefully blow it up to a point where I can expand it and there'll be more of it.
Yep.
And I didn't know that there was a Devil May Cry 5 coming out.
You didn't know?
No.
Wow.
I got
okay.
actually unhappy. I
See.
thought I was bringing this thing
Yeah.
back and I'm like, oh, this is like a modern fucking thing. Like this is
Yeah.
ongoing. Then I should have done Street Fighter. I'm passionate about Devil May Cry. Like I love this thing.